Welcome back to the channel. Jaden Rashada has asked to be released from his national letter of intent from the Florida Gators. The question we're going to take on today is, who is to blame for this sad state of affairs? I'm very thankful to all of you who have subscribed to join us on this journey. This is just the beginning. Listen to what I tell you. This is just the beginning. We crushed our goal and have reached 1,000 subscribers. Oh my God. Thank you all so very much. I really appreciate it. My heart, right? But we're not going to rest on our laurels. It's only up, and up from here on out, right? It's just only going to get better. Our next goal, let's get stronger. Let's hit 6K, right? Let's do it. We're going to do it. It's pretty much a done deal. It's only a matter of time. And I'm going to keep producing that content that's going to keep bringing you back because I really appreciate the engagement. And the community is just spectacular here. It's some very thoughtful people in our community, in the comments, and I guess that's what I appreciate more. Some have been challenging me, like, your mic is off. Like, all right, bet I'm working on it. You see, I got my new mic, but I still haven't managed the levels yet. So I'm still getting better. I got a new app that allows Final Cut Pro, so I'm able to slice and cut things a little bit better, add a little green screen things, trying to do that. But it's all a work in progress. So like I said, I'm putting in the work. I appreciate you guys for joining me in this process. So let's get to our video. Thank you guys so much. Now let's break down the Jaden Rashada story, right? Initially, he was a Miami recruit, 5-star kid out of Pittsburgh. Shout out to the Bay Area in Northern California. But thanks to the work of the Gator Collective, the official NIL sponsor for the University of Florida, in order to get Rashada from his commitment, where he's already taken money, the Florida Gators, Gator Collective, not the actual University of Florida, promised to pay Rashada $10+ million. The speculation is that it's been $13 million, but we don't fully know the exact fee at this point or the price that they agreed to at this point. You hear that $10+ million, like, oh my God, that's a lot of money. But let's really examine the state of the quarterback room at the University of Florida. Anthony Richardson is on his way to the NFL. Anthony Richardson reminds me a lot of former Buccaneer quarterback Josh Freeman. Josh Freeman was a 6'6", 240-pound guy who could throw the ball, had really good athleticism, but was really inconsistent. That's who Richardson reminds me of. But he was a serviceable NFL quarterback for a few years before he pretty much fell off the wagon. Kitna was released after he was charged with something I do not want to even mention. It was so horrific. So less we say about him, the better. And we all saw what happened against Oregon State in that shameful bowl game where the Florida Gators were only able to put up 3 points. And the quarterback was the 4-star transfer, Jack Miller III. And he pretty much couldn't move the ball and didn't show enough to say that he was going to be that man. So even during the season, the coaches, when it was times for Anthony Richardson's could run, because that's who Anthony Richardson was, the coach, Billy Napier, would say, look, I don't even want you to run, right? We covered that earlier because he had so little faith in the guys that were already on campus. And we saw that in the bowl game, how poor they really were. Coming back, the Gators have signed Graham Mertz. Graham Mertz, who's a 4-star transfer from Wisconsin, has thrown for 5,405 yards with 38 touchdowns, right? Which you see those numbers like, oh, that's pretty great. But he's also thrown 26 interceptions for those 38 touchdowns. And the team has posted at only a 19-13 win record, which is very much subpar even for Wisconsin, and definitely subpar for Florida playing in the SEC, arguably the toughest conference in football. College football, easy. Looking at this situation, in steps the Gainesville Collective with promises to restore Florida football and actually just Florida Gator sports, period, by spending whatever is needed to get the Gators back to prominence. The Gators have fallen behind its SEC brethren in Georgia, in Tennessee, in Alabama, in Mississippi, very much down the pecking order. So that's where this saga begins. Hear me well. I want to state this clear. All right. I really want to state this clear. It was not Billy Napier who pledged to pay Rashada or who has the authority to pay Rashada. Due to antitrust laws that schools are not allowed to negotiate or interfere with NILs directly at all. These collectives are created, are separate from the university, are separate from the schools. The Gator Collective was created by Eddie Rojas and Kelly Rojas. Eddie played baseball at Florida, and he ran an investment firm for about 40 employees. So as of 2021, I found this information. The collective only brought in $600,000 in revenue a year, right? That's not counting the one-off donations of $1 million here or $1 million there. But overall, they only brought in $600,000 in standalone revenue. Eddie Rojas, the founder of the Gator Collective, he stated this in April. I would venture to say that the Gator Collective is paying more guaranteed money than any group in the country. When I write a contract, I want to make sure that we actually have the money in our account. And that brings us to the crux of this situation. If Rojas said he doesn't sign a contract unless the money's in the account, what happened to the money when Rashada agreed to sign with the Florida Gators? According to Rojas, he made a $13 million deal because there was money in the account. He said that's his business practice. So what would allow him to venture away from that? Was it desperation? Was it a pledge or a promise that wasn't fulfilled to Rojas saying that the money will be there? Because remember, Rojas isn't the person putting the money into the collective. He's only the one that's facilitating by creating the collective for other donors to put money in to support the Florida Gators. Now, who's going to fill that gap? That brings us to Hugh Hathcock, who donated almost $13 million last year to the Gator Collective. Heard that number somewhere before? He's also the largest or one of the top boosters for this collective. Now, who is Mr. Hathcock, Hugh Hathcock? Hugh Hathcock owns a motor solution technology company. He's estimated to be worth over $550 million. He even has the basketball facilities named after him, along with a suite at the tower at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, aka the Swamp. So one of the suites are named after him. The basketball complex is named after him. He's known to be one of the largest donors, and miraculously, $13 million have been deposited by him into the Gator Collective. Was that money promised to Jaden Rashada at that time, and then later on they spent it expecting to get more donations in, and they gave the money that was designated for Jaden Rashada to other players? Now, here's where it gets deep. On December 7th, Rashada received a letter from Rojas wishing to terminate the deal. While it's unclear of exactly why that happened, the Gators football program was caught by surprise. Remember, I said earlier, it's not necessarily Billy Napier's fault, as they are not allowed to know the specifics of NIL deals with players. And his team was working with the University of Florida to see if they could figure out the money. Hear me clearly on this. Rashada wanted to enroll in the University of Florida. His team and his family was working with the University of Florida to work out a deal over the weekend. Money was offered to Rashada to come to the University of Florida. The problem is it wasn't the amount that Rashada had agreed to. And at that point, it appears that he has asked for his release from his NIL deal, and that has brought us to this situation. Let's bottom line on this. This can happen to any one school. Billy Napier did not negotiate this deal for Rashada. but it appears that he is not getting the support that he needs to be successful. So unless he pulls off a miracle and finds or creates a quarterback, then this could be a very long year for Gators and those Bull Gators who aren't necessarily willing to pony up the money to give directly to the kids. They talked about giving money to the facilities, different things like that, but they're not trying to get involved in the NIL. And if you're not doing it in the modern day age, how can you be successful? Rashada is not the bad guy and does not deserve any hate from this. If you signed a contract with someone for $13, but they only wrote you a check for $10 and you gave them an opportunity to make it right, then no way in heck would you work for them. You want the money that you signed for. And if you're not getting that, then obviously you have to go your certain way. There are different ways. Even if I took less from someone else, at least they didn't lie to me. So that's why I would be more comfortable taking it from them. You already proven that you're not trustworthy. So how can I come to your school if you break a contract with me or break a deal with me off top? This has been a very interesting story, a lot of turns and twists and things like that. Thank you all for sticking with me. But tell me what you think about this story. Thank you all for subscribing. I'm so thankful for how our community and vow to keep growing stronger. Catch you all in the comments. Peace.